All right, it's Thursday, April 10th. I'm Damon Bruce. Welcoming you back here to Damon Bruce Plus, brought to you by Ike Sandwiches. And that right there is Sam Batesh, longtime friend of mine, media member, now thinking out loud, along with his pal Andrew Siciliano over on their YouTube channel. We are co-streaming today. Sammy, it's good to see you, brother. How you doing?
It is so good. And Damon, again, I love the Thursday thing has been so beautiful with you. We had sort of tipping off the tournament that we were fired up about, even though we ended up talking about so many other things. The Masters, on live while we do this, it feels important that we are on in these incredible moments, these huge events in sports. And yet, we're not even going to touch on that because, as you and I like to remind everybody, what still matters most on all of these days is everyone worried about their NFL team. It still matters most.
It's it. Like the Warriors had a devastating loss to their playoff path last night, and everybody's worried about Brock Purdy this morning, not the Golden State Warriors. It's something else. Now, I got to make sure that my channel is officially where it needs to be. If at any point in time I look a little drowsy, it's not you. It's not this conversation. It's the peaceful, serene setting of Augusta that is on this TV over here.
You gotta get it set up, damn it. And what's beautiful is for those that look, there's a lot of streaming out there, but DirecTV still does a beautiful job of one thing. On their 4K menu, they'll give you Amen Corner. Or holes 15 and 16 with everyone rolling through. So it's not the traditional coverage. They'll just show you everyone going to those holes. And it's almost, it gives you more of a sense of what it might be like if you were there, right? If you were just standing in one place, enjoying one hole, it's pretty cool. It's pretty spectacular.
In terms of sports porn, I don't think there's anything better than a 4K bunker shot with sand spraying everywhere as some guy's trying to get on a green. Anyways, the Masters is indeed underway. Hello, friends. Welcome here. Like and subscribe. It's great to have you. And Sammy, when it comes to who gets paid in this world, it's really not a survey that you put out and get people's opinions.
But why not?
What do you do? How do you produce? What kind of an earner are you? What do you do for the business? And opinions really don't matter when they keep spreadsheets. It's the statistics that end up mattering the very most. So I tell you all that to set up today's show with this graphic, which I took from Sports Illustrated. Bleacher Report, someone shared it. Anyways, this is from, what is it, Matt Verdome?
This is, Matt Verderome.
Verderome of Sports Illustrated. Says in a survey of several NFL sources, only one said that they would extend Brock Purdy this offseason. Another graphic says, quote, and this is a quote from a longtime defensive coordinator on Brock Purdy, who, for the sake of this graphic, remains anonymous.
Sure.
I like the guy better than you would think. As long as he gets the ball out on time, he's good. Once it's not clean, he becomes average. Well, okay, so where do you even want to start here?
Come on. Okay, what I'd love to do is, and we so often do this, and I always point to two guys, but can we look at the quarterbacks that are paid this kind of money? I mean, in the end, can we slot Brock Purdy in amongst the quarterbacks that are getting paid this money currently, right? We're talking about $50 million.
I insist on it. It's why I just totally reject that Brock Purdy has some hard to imagine, hard to find unicorn deal that has to be so tailored to his unique situation. The blueprint for what he's going to get is out there like 7 different times. How much do you just want to tweak it a little? But please go ahead, Sammy. Why don't you let everyone know who the top 10 paid quarterbacks are? And oh, by the way, I think a lot of you are going to be really surprised to hear Patrick Mahomes' name ain't even on the list.
Can we please start with the understanding of two things? Number one, the greatest quarterback of all time wasn't drafted in the first round. Okay, so let's throw out the idea that because Brock Purdy was chosen last in the draft, that should cost him money. Let's just go with the fact that the guy that just called the Super Bowl because he won the Super Bowl 7 times, Tom Brady, wasn't drafted in the first round, was totally a mistake discovery that the Patriots were lucky enough to land on, not to mention they passed on him multiple times, but then, yes, ended up with him. Okay, great. So Brock Purdy isn't drafted where these other guys are, but can we just go through the list right now and think about when we're going through this list, remember, number 2, Patrick Mahomes is not the number 1 paid quarterback in this league. So the greatest player in this league at that position is not paid the most. So this is not going to be just a list of the best quarterbacks.
Not even in the top 10.
Correct.
And let's just real quickly remind everybody that when Patrick Mahomes signed his deal just a handful of years ago, it was the most amount of money ever attached to the position. And just a few years later, not even in the top 10. So again, the price point that Brock Purdy gets today is officially something you don't need to worry about tomorrow, but all anyone wants to do is worry about it and take this thing all the way, wherever the anxiety train can take you on Brock Purdy, people want to ride. Go ahead, Sammy.
So
let us know the list.
These are your $50 million quarterbacks. No order, okay? No order. Just your $50 million club. The 50 club at this position goes like this.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts. Okay. Okay. Dak Prescott. Josh Allen. Trevor Lawrence. Joe Burrow. Jordan Love. Okay. Tua. Jared Goff. Justin Herbert. Lamar Jackson.
Interesting list.
Good list and interesting list, but can we parse some of this list? Because some of the names as I said them, you went on with your day, everyone that's listening and watching us. You went on with your day because I said Lamar Jackson and I said Josh Allen. You were breathing just fine.
I put my thumb up once because I was counting guys who've won Super Bowls.
Well, that's interesting. There you go.
One.
That's a fun.
There's
only
one. Jalen Hurts, and he just did it.
And let's remind everyone also another thing about this list. Everyone I read off that list, except the one guy you put the thumb in the air for, was a first-round draft pick. Okay? Lamar, last pick of the first round. But remember, Jalen is a second-round draft pick. Okay.
Yep.
So, I'm not going to cost the guy money for not being a first-round draft pick because, as I reminded everyone, the greatest quarterback that ever played this game, and the second greatest for that matter, the second greatest, arguably. I mean, if you want to put Mahomes, fine, but let's talk Montana and Brady. Not first.
Look, outside of, it only makes the Disney movie better. It gives you a better origin story. It doesn't matter where you start the race when you're on the lead lap.
That's it. So let's go through the list again of guys that I hope when I said 50 million, maybe you cringed because of it. Okay, so Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, we're all okay with the 50 million. Jalen Hurts has the greatest argument ever in his back pocket right now because he's the reigning Super Bowl MVP. So no one's going to argue that at all, even though it was a season of knocking Jalen Hurts. But obviously that isn't happening right now. So Joe Burrow's another guy that I think we can all sleep well at night knowing that he makes $50 million. No one's going to argue what he's done. Although, remember, as Joe Burrow joked at NFL Honors, how about being nominated for Comeback Player of the Year twice already in his early career? So just remember that means Joe Burrow, from the availability department, is also, Joe Burrow had a season where he was unavailable to take his team to the playoffs. Not so long ago that Joe Burrow was unable and unavailable.
Sorry, I got the Masters broadcast.
Tell me, please. What do you got now?
Scott Van Pelt is sitting down with a guy. I'm like, he's dressed really casual. He looks a little familiar. Who is that? Sam Darnold is sitting
amazing.
with Scott Van Pelt right now.
That's
outside
awesome.
Butler cabin. Talking about not Scott Van Pelt, but it's there's an awful lot of thigh.
Really?
I didn't think you wore shorts to the Masters. I thought you wore pants.
It's not that kind of venue, is it? It really isn't.
I mean, can we really call Sam Darnold a patron if he's not wearing pants? Anyway,
I think you're right. And by the way, Larry Fitzgerald was there earlier talking and looking good, by the way. Good for Fitz. I like that. So I want to continue this list here because remember, Joe Burrow, even though we're all going to say 50 million makes a lot of sense, and he's coming off a year in which he, again, won Comeback Player of the Year for being unavailable the year before. But yes, he also led the league in passing. So fine with Joe Burrow, obviously.
Awesome year. Awesome player.
Jordan Love. Okay. I think it felt better last season than it did this season. Jordan Love, again, also missing some games this season. Let's remember that.
Jordan Love missed a few games in this league to deserve the reputation that he had.
He beat the crap out of the Cowboys last season and almost, remember that's an almost, not a did, almost beat the 49ers on the Niners. By the way, on Purdy's trip to the Super Bowl, Jordan Love almost beat him. That's the greatest feather in Jordan Love's cap right now is that he almost beat Brock Purdy. So, okay, Jordan Love's worth $50 million because he almost beat Brock Purdy. Remember that. Remember that. He almost did, but he didn't. Brock Purdy won that game, and Brock Purdy went to the Super Bowl that season. Okay, so all right, let's continue with some other guys that might start to make you vomit in your mouth if you've got to sign these checks. And I always go to these two guys. Always. Damon, this comes up every time we have this conversation. I bring these two guys up. And by the way, this was last offseason that they got these deals. Trevor Lawrence. Okay, the Jags fired everybody that the Nuggets haven't fired yet. Okay, the Jags fired everyone that the Nuggets didn't fire because of how great their season was last year. So that's what they think of their $50 million quarterback right now. And by the way, Mac Jones played game, the new Niners backup quarterback. He played games instead of Trevor Lawrence last season. And by the way, talk to the people that were fired. It wasn't because Trevor Lawrence was injured. He just wasn't very good. Trevor Lawrence was injured a little bit, but by the way, even when he was okay, they decided, you know what? Trevor, we're just going to sit out the rest of the season. Mac Jones has got this the rest of the way. So that's how well your $50 million Trevor Lawrence season went. And now this one you really got to worry about handing out $50 million on this one. How about Tua and the Dolphins? How excited are they?
Tua that's a head scratcher because
don't scratch too hard. Don't scratch the head too hard.
Don't right now. Exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Don't scratch hard. Cut those nails before you give it a scratch. I actually think Tua is better than his harshest critics think. I kind of like him, but I'm very worried, and I would not want to be at the premium tier for him. Beyond that, he's done very little to have earned it or have proved it, and the Dolphins' success is hard to find with him.
And a lot of the and you know what, Tua's at least similar in the Purdy vein in regards to this. A lot of credit with Tua goes to McDaniel, goes to Tyreek, goes to sort of Achane and the running scheme, right? There's a lot of sort of, maybe we're scheming Tua into this.
All of the success is the compliment goes to everybody around him. All of his failures, just him.
All him. That was all his fault.
That game, all Tua. Great game. He had nothing to do with it.
Right. Mike McDaniel, Achane, Tyreek, Waddle, of course. Nothing to do with him.
Right.
The other guy that we didn't mention, and I just want to sprinkle on it because I'm actually a little torn on this guy. But again, torn and deserves the 50, but he's coming off a season when no one's happy about it. I mean, Justin Herbert threw how many interceptions in his playoff game?
He threw more interceptions in the playoff game than he did in the regular season. I mean, it was bad.
I mean, was it 4 in the end? It was 4. I think it finished
meltdown. It was as bad of a playoff game as a human being can have.
You really can't be worse against the Texans in a singular game. And by the way, and Herbert also lost an amazing lead in a playoff game to Trevor Lawrence. So no one's in love with where Herbert's taking his team. So, and by the way, and Dak, we talked about availability also. Dak, who asked the Cowboys how excited they are right now about the $50 million price tag on Dak Prescott. Look at the NFC teams. And when they last were in the NFC Championship game, have you seen this graph, Damon? It's hilarious. And anyone that you know that's a Cowboys fan, you can send it to them, and I'll send it to you right after this. Do you know that every single team in the NFC has been to the championship game ahead of the Cowboys?
I did know that. One of the funnier things that I saw attached to the story about how scientists have re-engineered the genome for the dire wolf. Like there's a dire wolf. The dire wolf has been reintroduced to life before the Dallas Cowboys have reached the Super Bowl. I mean, it's the Dallas Cowboys' last Super Bowl. So that made me laugh over this week.
One of these days, you and I are going to do this day in history, and it's going to be the last time the Cowboys were in the NFC Championship game.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. And I just want to can we also read off something? It was a great article. It was CBS that did another piece about how the Niners are slow playing this whole thing, and it was chock full of numbers about kind of what Brock's done, but what might happen. Brock Purdy, since becoming the Niners starting quarterback, which is not that long ago, 2022. Okay, and by the way, look at what the team's done in that span. But he has the NFL's best passer rating. The best since becoming a starting quarterback in the league. He's got the best passer rating.
Since throwing footballs in 2002, no one's done it more accurately than Brock Purdy.
Since 22, no one's better than Brock Purdy. Nobody. He's the list. Brock Purdy. He's also leading the league with 9 yards per pass attempt and 13 yards per completion. He was an NFL MVP finalist in 2023.
Right. Which makes it tough on Joseph Ehrenberg, one of the famous Brock Purdy haters out there in the audience. Don't extend the weakest arm quarterback in the league. Duh. Again, Joseph, we could go by your opinion, or we could use statistics that have been returned to us after football games have been played. I'm going to lean, and I like you, Joseph. You know that. I'm going to lean into the statistics provided to us by the football that was played more than the angry squinting you do at your television, wanting the guy to fail, even though he's the starting quarterback for the football team you claim to root for.
Of your team. And again, can we look at the charred bodies at this position before Brock Purdy?
Oh, let's not even get to that. Everyone knows the list. We don't even need to do it. But here's the thing. He's leading the NFL with 9 yards per pass attempt and 13.3 yards per completion. Not bad for the guy with the weakest arm in the group, don't you think?
Imagine
what he would have done with a good arm.
It's a shame.
Led the league by even more because all he can do with his weak arm is lead the NFL. So imagine if he had a strong arm. Imagine the lead he would have over the NFL.
I love that Joseph is out there and sharing this opinion because it's part of this discussion. It is because he's not the only person who has this doubt. And probably my guess is the Niners are smart, know how to do things. But if you look at what they've done with contract negotiations with slam dunks, even like Bosa,
they screwed it up. They slow play everything. They slow play everything.
Nobody was questioning what Bosa was at that time. So it doesn't make, it's not always the money, and the money's not going to solidify or appease anybody. That's the problem. See, here's the thing. Anyone who has the opinion that Joe did, it's not going to get better when the guy's worth $50 million. That opinion's going to be it. And look at what just happened with Hurts. Hurts all season was not given credit because, other than maybe the tush push, nobody's saying that Hurts did anything better than other quarterbacks in this league. Well, he's the Super Bowl MVP. And frankly, had overtime gone slightly better 2 seasons ago, Brock Purdy's a Super Bowl MVP. It's not far from his resume. It's not far. And in the list of quarterbacks that we just ran through, Dak, Josh Allen, Lamar, Herbert, Love, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, who's gotten closest to winning a Super Bowl? Take Hurts off the list. He just won it. But Purdy has been there, and that the rest, everyone else on that list, can't touch that.
A small handful of guys in the top 10 have even seen the game. Only one of them has won the game.
And Burrow was there, and Purdy will be there when he joins this list.
And look, Jed York said he has a top 10 quarterback. When the owner says that, however much negotiating position you thought you had kind of vanishes in that moment. This is why Jed probably shouldn't talk into too many microphones while negotiations are going on. From that CBSSports.com article that you had, Tammy, contract drama, just read from the article, contract drama has become a way of life for the 49ers. Lynch and head coach Kyle Shanahan, they say the right thing shortly after a season ends, but negotiations with players have a tendency to become acrimonious even when they shouldn't. And this is a drum that I have been beating on my channel, shows that I do with Kruger. The pace at which the 49ers do business might work for them, but it definitely is the biggest stick that they keep on tripping over in their own backyard. So why don't we just get rid of the stick? Why don't you take a player whose position really isn't up for debate
at all?
And here's the thing. The Purdy debate and who he is in the hierarchy of the NFL, that's sports talk radio, baby. That we can have that. We can have that. But here's who he is to the 49ers. The only fucking good quarterback that they've employed since Jeff Garcia. That's who he is.
There are people watching us right now. There are people watching us who right now who haven't watched Jeff Garcia as a starting quarterback for the 49ers. For sure. For sure.
There's a 14-year-old kid really angry at the 49ers because he thinks he's got a birthright to a Super Bowl that he's never even seen. And it's a generation of people who get their information about football, not by watching games, but by going to the content creators, which are great at stoking outrage. I mean, the fastest way to get noticed is to say outrageous shit. And the outrageous shit said about Brock Purdy business has been booming since he's come into the league. But here's the thing. You learn this in life when you buy a house. There's some things that you don't understand until you're at that moment of actually buying a house. There are several different factors which will dictate the price of that house. Number one, where is it? When did it hit the market? What are the prices of the houses that surround your house in your neighborhood? Location, proximity, average value, the neighborhood you're in. And that is where I would say 75% of your home's price actually comes from. And then the other 25% is the difference between brushed steel or brass doorknobs and faucet handles and all the accoutrement. Is that maple? Is that walnut? Is that marble? Is that all of that is in the home? And that's what makes the value of that home separate from the different value of the home that is to the left or right of you. But every home in the neighborhood is basically kind of in the same price range, depending on the brushed steel doorknobs. You know,
the Brock Purdy appraisal that you're talking about right now is simple. There's not a real estate agent on the planet that isn't excited about having the Brock Purdy home to sell. Right.
Can I show you this? What do I have to do to put you in this home today?
That's it. Brock Purdy is getting offers from everyone who goes to that open house. Everybody who goes to that open house wants to put an offer in right now on Brock. And their agent is telling them, get it in now because the price is only going up. The price of this Brock Purdy house is only going up. It has value towards the future. Not only everything that Damon and I talk about what happened in the past, which is awesome. Go look at what Brock Purdy has done in the past.
Right.
It's awesome. But what he's going to do in the future based on his age, based on this current collection of teammates around him and coaching staff, what he's going to do in the future, get your offer in now. And ask the smart people in Vegas. Go look right now. Go walk to a sportsbook or open your phone and do the easiest thing. Look at the odds to win the NFC for next season.
Right.
And guess what those odds are based on with who at quarterback? What do you think they're just making it up? You think they're just picking somebody? You think they're assuming that Shedeur Sanders or Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Niners?
Let's say the 49ers don't sign Brock Purdy and he's gone or gets hit by a bus today and he can't play again. Do you think the 49ers are going to see their odds remain the same, go up or go down? I'm going to bet down.
And again, even look at the list, even the list of the guys that are making $50 million if you put them in place. There are guys on that list that if you put them instead of Brock Purdy, the odds would go down. If Tua was the starting quarterback of the Niners, the odds go down. They go down, not up.
Well, and what's also funny, too, is the same people who tell you that Brock sucks will tell you that Shanahan sucks, and then also make the argument that the only reason why Brock Purdy has any success is because Kyle Shanahan can get a degree of success out of anybody. Mac Jones should be the starting quarterback going forward, which is just hysterical.
Where's Trey Lance?
Right.
Where is Trey? Again, Trey again
with the LA Chargers, which is more than I thought he was going to be after he got released by the Dallas Cowboys. I'll give him, congratulations to him. I'm glad he's still in the league. He needs opportunity. By the way, opportunity he's not going to get in Los Angeles unless Herbert gets hurt.
It's not going to happen. And again, if Shanahan could truly squeeze anything out of a dry sponge, then Trey Lance would be this spectacular player that he's not. And from that same article, and I want to give more credit to this piece that was on CBS Sports because everyone should go check it out because it really, if you're just wondering what's going on right now, it was actually written by Joel Corey, who it's a great job. CBS Sports did a great job bringing a former agent in to give perspective on these things. And Joel Corey is a former agent who's been a part of agencies that represented Shaq and Ronnie Lott, by the way. Okay, so little Niners love there as well. Go check this out to find out what Brock really means. And part of the article is a great quote from John Gruden. Look at how Brock Purdy has saved Shanahan and John Lynch over the course of these 3 years.
Everyone's fired if Brock Purdy isn't the final pick in the draft. Everybody's already gone. Everybody.
We're talking about
new regime, new players. You know, it's what this guy has done and the lack of appreciation from some in the fan base, or this constant just picking apart. I mean, he has been dissected in a way that scouts don't even dissect quarterbacks by fans who, again, want to speak his failure into existence to prove that they were right more than they want to admit, I might have been wrong about this. And here's the thing. Nobody really knows either way. There's no guarantee in sports. You know, there is a guy, maybe I can find it again. Here it is. This is from Michael. Michael, thank you for watching, as always. Why are we so hell-bent on paying Brock? To make it look as though we have a franchise quarterback? I don't want to hear about what he did in the past. Well, first of all, every single sports contract beyond your rookie contract is a direct reflection of what you have done and what you might be able to do in the future. It's not like anybody in sports has agreed, we're going to have you play the season out, then we're going to evaluate how you did, then we're going to figure out what your pay is. That's not how it works. You pay up front.
And the NFL changed the rule. It was so out of whack in regards to first-round quarterbacks, and it probably hinged on what Sam Bradford made. I think Sam Bradford was sort of the last guy that the league just handed.
Baby, yes.
They just handed truckloads of money because of where you were slotted within the draft, and that's all that mattered. And then you got paid according to where you were drafted. Not to what you did in the NFL, but to where you actually got drafted. Handed over truckloads of money to guys before they did a thing. And because of where Sam Bradford's career went, the league decided, you know what? We're not going to just hand out money for where you're drafted anymore.
Well, we can't have a billionaire class of quarterbacks and then everybody else is making 100,000. Like the NFL saw that coming and they had to cut it off.
And now it is about what you have proven. And nobody has proven more. First of all, no one's been a better value than Brock Purdy. Right? Who was drafted behind him? Nobody. So who has seen more time in a Super Bowl drafted behind Brock Purdy? Nobody. Not one player.
I mean, I'm sure there's some long snapper on some team somewhere, but
he wasn't drafted behind Brock Purdy. He wasn't drafted after Brock Purdy.
Behind Brock Purdy, you can't. You're an undrafted free agent if you went after Brock Purdy. To me, this is another thing. You know, again, the weak arm crowd. 10-yard passes or more. He's at a 58% completion rate. That led the NFL last year. A year where he didn't have a wide receiver who could separate from a cornerback. He's at 58. He leads the league in completion percentage, 10 yards or more downfield, in a league where he didn't have a wide receiver who could separate 10 yards or more downfield. And oh, by the way, he's leading the league at 58%. Guess who was second worst? Your backup quarterback, Mac Jones. So for everyone saying, oh, just have Mac Jones do what Brock Purdy does.
Sure.
Mac Jones on passes of 10 yards or more, his completion percentage is 35%.
Which, by the way, and by the way, there's going to be more quarterbacks closer to what Mac Jones is. And one other point on this, is Deebo Samuel afraid to speak or write his mind on social media? Is Deebo Samuel afraid to show you on the sideline what he thinks of a teammate?
No.
Okay, is Deebo Samuel comfortable calling somebody else out for the failure of a team in a game that you won, by the way? But is Deebo Samuel afraid of taking somebody in the heat of a game on a sideline and saying, you're not doing your job well enough?
The only thing Deebo appeared to be afraid of last year was actually end zones and catching footballs.
And I love the Deebo attitude. I think it helps spark this team in so many ways. And I love Deebo for that. But he wears his emotion on his sleeve. And the number one person that the receiver likes to get upset at on a team is the guy who's supposed to get him the football. The wide receiver quarterback position for years has been hot and cold because you're either doing a good enough job in my eyes or you're not. You're either putting me in a position to look great and earn money or you're not. And Deebo Samuel has not made a complaint about Brock Purdy.
Not once. Not one. You can't find a single player in there who's got a bad thing to say about him, off the record, on the record, anywhere. There seems to be a universal agreement by everyone who's dealing with the problem of the 49ers that he ain't the problem. It's not him. Look, I don't want you to have any problems when you're thinking about where you're going for lunch today. So let me steer everybody in the right direction.
Please, let's do
real quickly, right here, right now. That is Ike. Ike has love and sandwiches for you. Love, I don't know if it can fill you up. It can fulfill you, but the sandwiches definitely can. So he wants to embrace you and feed you. He's basically like your grandmother. Go ahead and go to Ike's. Do it now. Expanding westward, eastward, north, south, all points on the compass. Hopefully there'll be one near you soon. If there isn't one already there now, sign up for the Love Rewards program. Eat your way to free sandwiches, chips, drink, all those things. And Sammy, if you are ordering for your office, you're having a little Friday, casual Friday, you're going to have sandwiches, check out Ike's Catering. Please do so. Also, I don't even have to put up the Dubliner graphic because I am the Dubliner graphic today.
Oh,
Sam.
yes.
Now look at
yes, me. And the shirt.
The graphic. Here I am. My boys at the Dubliner. Absolutely love Kenny and John. I went to the Warriors game last night. A great place to watch the Warriors going forward into the postseason. The Dubliner is a great bar. Great place to watch the NFL draft. Great place to hang out, watch a Giants game. It's got a bar that's got the right volume to it. I'm officially, it's too loud in here years old.
Yeah, yes.
I love the volume in the Dubliner. So it's just my kind of bar, my kind of people. And if you like the best poured Guinness in San Francisco, get yourself to the Dubliner West Portal. Tell me about some cookies here.
Can we do it? All right. So
Hamantash.
Let's go. So Stetas Hamantash, and Stetas. Steta is the term for grandma if you're a Syrian Jew. Okay. So Stetas Hamantash, Hummentash. Hamantash is an amazing triangular cookie. It's similar to that Pepperidge Farm shortbread cookie with the jelly in the middle. It is a gorgeous, delicious cookie, and Stetas Hamantash you can get right now. Stetas Hamantash, Hummentash. I will spell it in the comments right now. Stetas Hamantash.
Make sure the product that you're trying to sell to people is unspellable and borderline unpronounceable.
It's all you want because it is also unforgettable.
Oh, there you go. There you go. By the way, there it is, everybody.
Boom. Stetas Hamantash, everybody. Let's go.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to freaking order a box of these things, and just next Thursday, I'm going to be eating them.
That's right. It. We will do that. Much like you're wearing the shirt, we will do that. We will do that better next time. I will bring the cookies.
The billboard for the Hamantash.
We will be the cookies.
By the way, I love that this program has a direct line to Yiddish slang. That makes me so happy. You know that about me. I love that.
Damon, you were jumped into this club many, many years ago, decades ago at this point, and you will forever be there because of Stetas Hamantash.
Chef A, Hamantash, delicious. However the hell you spell it, there she goes. She's the chef. She knows.
She knows.
Zoff Miss, I love Thursdays with Sammy. Yeah. So do I. We love Thursdays with Sammy because it not only brings the perspective of a great, very well-informed sports fan, but he has all of the background knowledge that comes with being a network level producer. He understands how media works, how television works, how radio works, how a news cycle works. And that brings me back to the graphics, Sammy, if you do not mind, that we kind of
please.
The show
Let's go.
Today,
Please.
What'd you say? Matt Verdomi?
Verderome. I think it's Verderome. Verderome. Yes.
How about Matt V from Sports Illustrated? Let's just go with
Matty V. Let's go.
In a survey of several NFL sources, only one said that they would extend Brock Purdy this offseason. No, I'm not here to shit on anonymous sources. Anonymous sources are sometimes the only way you get inside information. I am not here to dispel that Matt has done anything wrong here going public with this. I'm sure he's a very dialed in guy who got this on background from someone, and he went with it. This is the quote that he has from a longtime defensive coordinator. I like the guy. Better athlete than you would think. As long as he gets the ball out on time, he's good. Now, to me, what's funny is he then says, Once it's not clean, he becomes average. Well, there are very few quarterbacks who, as chaos starts to grow around them, they become better.
Who's the best quarterback in the league? Quickly.
Patrick Mahomes, because he defeats the blitz coming at him better than he does.
Okay. Let's dial it back to Mahomes' last game. How about the last time we saw Patrick Mahomes? How did he do when the pocket wasn't clean?
Wasn't great.
I'm sorry, was the score 34-0?
It wasn't great.
How did Mahomes look when he was sacked 6 times? How did Mahomes look when the pressure rate was 50%? Is there a quarterback in the league?
It's amazing how when the pocket collapsed around Patrick Mahomes, how less of a genius Andy Reid becomes.
Wow, that was weird.
Something else?
That was weird. Mahomes has lost 2 Super Bowls. What happened both times? The pocket collapsed.
Could you imagine if Brock Purdy lost 2 Super Bowls? Holy shit, we'd have to push him off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Well, and he wouldn't be worth, let's definitely pay him less if he's in 2 Super Bowls.
Definitely.
Again, if your quarterback's taking you to the Super Bowl, by the way, you better be calling for someone else to come do the job, right? Can we just be honest with everyone that's watching us right now? Nobody here wants their team to go to the Super Bowl, right? Nobody. Right? And right, no one on the list of the 10 quarterbacks we just listed that are worth $50 million. And by the way, 2 of them on that list have been to a Super Bowl. 2. But nobody, right? Josh Allen, the Bills fans don't want to go to a Super Bowl, right? The Ravens don't want to go to a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. No, they're not interested.
They're happy that they have a physically imposing quarterback. That's where they get their happiness from. If we took all quarterbacks, put them in frickin' Borat sling bikini hammocks and said, who's the most masculine looking guy here? That's how I'm going to determine my football happiness.
And the goal of every fan watching us right now is to see your quarterback dressed up for the NFL Honor Show, right? You want to see him on the red carpet. If your quarterback's at the NFL Honor Show enjoying it, guess where he's not? He's not preparing in a hotel room for the Super Bowl.
Right. But hey, Jay Moore told a really funny joke in that monologue. So
love Jay Moore. And it was Snoop this year and great. And by the way, they do a great job of the show. But you don't want your quarterback there laughing in the crowd, because that means he's not preparing for the only game that everyone watching us right now wants his or her quarterback to be playing in. And Brock Purdy has been in that game.
One of the worst crimes ever committed on the psyche of the American sports fan is team that wins Super Bowl, great. Team that loses Super Bowl is the equivalent of an 0-16 football team. That is the most do not understand how sports works, never played a goddamn sport in your life, blog boy internet thinking that there has ever been. And it's ruined the way people consume sports. The championship is all that matters culture is in some ways 100% right, but in so many more ways 100% wrong.
Wrong. Just wrong. It doesn't make sense. Your team went to that's as close as you can get without winning. And I understand it hurts. I understand it's brutal, but you're in overtime of a Super Bowl. And again, and not just one season of this. Again, Vegas thinks next year, the Lions and the Eagles are the only team more likely to get there than you. That's what Vegas thinks right now.
Right. And your team is thoroughly incomplete.
You've had a horrendous offseason to this point. Free agency was miserable. And Vegas has you slotted behind the team that won it all and the team that was the 1 seed 2 months ago.
By the way, we have over 100 people watching than we have people liking this show. So
what are we doing? Let's go.
And subscribe. Please do it across both channels. If you've given me a like over here, go over to Sammy, give him a like and subscribe.
Please do it. Yes. Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam. Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam. Check it out. And by the way, if you're having trouble finding the channel, look up Shohei Don't Pitch. That's actually the #1 video on that site, and it'll come up very quickly. Andrew and I we're talking. This is months and months ago, but Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam, that's where we are. But because of UD, we're fired up to be here. That's all that matters.
I'm fired up for everyone. You would think that a guy who is 23, 24 years old. How old is Brock?
Brock is he might be 25. He might be 25. I'll get the official right here. You keep going with this point. Let's see. Brock
Purdy is what? How old is he?
Brock Purdy is, here we go. All right. Brock is 25. I was right. 25.
For a 25-year-old kid who's already been an MVP finalist, who has already set the franchise record for single season passing yards. Who's already
wait. Time out. Go back to that. This franchise, by the way, remember, this franchise hasn't had quarterbacks that are of any note, have they?
No. Brock is being compared to a mythical figure that is he's literally set the franchise record that Joe Montana and Steve Young played for. Well, he had an extra game and the league is different. Sure, all those things are in play. But look, he's a 25-year-old MVP finalist who's already had a 31-11 touchdown to interception ratio.
Is that good?
Who's been to a Super Bowl, who set a single season passing record for the franchise that is known for quarterbacks. And he is a Jesus-loving, but not Bible-thumping, married his high school sweetheart, swing his legs off a John Deere tractor, American, Arizona, Iowa. Like, he is a Norman Rockwell painting come to life. I'm going to tell you right now, no matter how long he plays in the league, you will never hear about cops heading to a skyrise to respond to a domestic violence situation. He will never have the phrase baby mama attached to him. He will never get arrested. He will never get a DUI. He will never embarrass the franchise. Everything he said at the podium right now, his podium game is strong. He's really good. He's comfortable in front of the media. He is comfortable in his own skin. He is self-assured. He is someone you should want to root for. And if you don't want to root for him, that just tells me that you have been like reprogrammed to just like doubt things that are good. Now, is he the most perfect without flaw quarterback of all time? Of course not. But that guy is A, unavailable, B, not about to be drafted, and C, ain't on your roster. And you ain't going to put him on there. Even if you could draft Cam Ward, even if you could trade up to number 1 and take the best quarterback in this draft, you officially take a step backwards more than you've taken a step forwards based on what you got with Brock Purdy, who, oh, by the way, his coach and his teammates all seem to love.
There's maybe 5 quarterbacks in the league that you'd want more than Brock. Maybe.
You know, I'd even go a little further than that. It's probably 8 or 10. I mean, we could talk. You know,
I think 10's stretch. I really do think 10's a stretch.
It might be.
I do. I think you're going to get caught. I think you're going to be fast to 5 and you're going to slow down considerably.
I believe that this guy is maybe not the best in the league, but he is the best that the 49ers have. And to say we would rather walk away at any price point and begin anew at a lower price point than to just continue what is about to become normal standard fare business. A $50 million a year quarterback in the NFL is about to be a Honda Civic. The list of 10 that you have given me.
Again, let's talk about the 10 again. Let's look at the 10. Let's start with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Okay. And everyone's going to say, okay, quickly. Yes.
I'm going to tell you right now, Brock Purdy has won more playoff games than either of those fucking guys.
So I don't even want to go further. The list after that is, again, okay, Jalen Hurts. We get it. He's got the greatest argument right now. But throughout a season, there's plenty of knocks on Jalen Hurts. Okay.
I don't think I'd trade Brock Purdy for Jalen Hurts.
Okay, first of all, the last time they were on the field together, it was ugly. Purdy absolutely wiped the floor with Hurts. I mean, and again, a lot of people say, okay, and Purdy was healthy in that game. Yes, the Eagles' defensive line destroyed the Niners in that NFC Championship, and Brock was out of that game early. But the last time they played in the regular season, That was Debo running away because Purdy was setting him up all game. And it was awful, and it was over early, and it was embarrassing. So take that for what it's worth. Okay. Then we're talking about Dak. Again, the Dak thing at this point it looks brutal. I mean, Dak, Trevor Lawrence, and Tua are 3 guys on that list. 3. And the guy that I'm probably most excited about, this people will certainly work. And Burrow's the one guy, again, availability. Go to what Burrow's given you. If you really look at the number of games, you're going to be shocked. Burrow's a slam dunk, you would think. But when Burrow's not there, he ain't giving you anything. So remember that. And 2, I don't even have to talk about that. And again, Jordan Love's greatest accomplishment is losing a divisional game to Brock Purdy. That's the height of what Jordan Love has given you. The greatest game he played in, yes, he beat Dak, and then he lost to Brock Purdy. That's what you've got. So I just don't understand. And let's do this. Can we average out again? If you give Brock $50 million this upcoming season, how about let's look at the last 3 seasons and look at what the price tag was, and then realize that over the course of those 4 seasons, you're basically paying the guy $30 million. And that's a deal.
He's already given you the single greatest deal you'll ever have in the history of the franchise. You got starting quarterback, went to a Super Bowl caliber play from the highest, richest, most pressure-filled position in sports, and you got it for a guy whose salary was so small it didn't even count against the cap. There were bartenders on the field club making more money in tips than Brock Purdy was making in some of these football games that he's played. By the way, speaking of money and tips, we always break for supers, and thank you, Anthony, who says Brock, Robert Saleh are going to be MVP next Super Bowl victory, not head coach Kyle. Again, why is everyone trying to rob success from Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan? It's neither of them. It's both of them. It's neither of them. It's one of them. It's not the other of them. It's amazing. It's amazing how many Niner fans want to pull success away from one teammate or place more failure on another. But anyways, Anthony, thank you very much. Kyle's had his chance for a reason. They finally won. Love you guys today. Let's go. Thank you very much.
It's great. And you know what? And look, here's the beauty of what you and I do, Damon. The beauty of this is you and I have now shouted from the rooftop for 3 or 4 straight weeks about Brock. And the beauty of sports is the next 10 years are going to come back to make us look like buffoons or geniuses.
Right.
That's it. That's it, right? If we're and the Niners and John Lynch, et cetera, and Jed York, of course, you put a price tag on a guy and it starts to add up quick. Were you right or were you wrong? But the beauty of this also is the Niners handed Jimmy Garoppolo, with what did he have, 6 wins at that point? And that everyone was excited. Jimmy Garoppolo had 6 wins, and the Niners couldn't wait to hand him a truckload of money.
Most money any quarterback ever got paid. He was the highest paid player in the history of football for a minute.
Okay. And I understand maybe that is the shrapnel that Niner fans are dealing with. Garoppolo got you to a Super Bowl and didn't win. And after that, not much. I understand. But Brock Purdy has proven more than Jimmy Garoppolo did for this franchise.
By the way, Damon, this is because we hate Shanahan. Why? He is the 3rd winningest head coach already in the history of your franchise.
And again, a franchise not known for great coaches either.
No, but I mean, why hate Shanahan? He's brought you to 2 Super Bowls. Why hate Shanahan? He has a level of league-wide admiration that is so universal among those in the league that when you ask them questions that are suspect about Kyle Shanahan, they think the fucking question is stupid. I just don't understand why someone would take sides against someone who's got just as much to show you. I've done this as here's the thing. If you hated Farhan, I got it, because you had one weird blip of 117 wins and then everything else sucked. All of it out, so you had one thing to like and then everything else sucks. If Kyle Shanahan was you've got one thing to like coach, but everything else sucks. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. But he's not that. Again, people are just caught up in a cycle of never-ending online outrage that has come to define who they are as a fan, more than their actual relationship with the team. There are more people out there who would rather be an angry online fan than actually happy because you won. I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced that there are a level of people out there who are only happy when they're miserable.
And that's what sports is. I've reminded everyone on this a couple of times. What sports really is in your life, and if you're raising children, you might want to teach them this really early. Loving a team in sports is coping with loss. The amount of times that you are going to have to explain away to yourself that you're upset because of a loss, then you're going to be ecstatic because of a win. Just trust me. It's basically set up like Las Vegas. You are designed to lose. The percentages are stacked against you. If you are only going to judge yourself and the way you feel about your team based on winning a Super Bowl, winning a championship, you are going to be disappointed. You might as well tell yourself you're going to be disappointed every season. Because if you're lucky, once a decade, if you're lucky, if your team does it a lot, once a decade, your team's going to make you happy. If they do it a lot, that's a lot. If your team wins once a decade, they're doing something right. It does not happen. Your team is designed, this league is designed not to win again and again. Again, the Eagles' greatest advantage over the course of the last 3 seasons is a play called the tush push. Do you know what's going to happen next season? It's not going to be in the league. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, and the first rule is we're going to make them worse. The league is designed. There are 31 other teams trying to do what your team is going to do. The likelihood is your team's not going to do it. Your team's not going to do it. Stop judging it only on one thing, and I will blame something that you and I are a big part of. You and I are part of, quote, the media. And it's easy to say that, but the reason I want to make this point is LeBron James is amazing, and all we do, and then you compare him to Michael Jordan, and all of a sudden, now there's an argument about whether or not he is great. And I'm going to do it later because I'm going to compare Alex Ovechkin to Wayne Gretzky. We do it all the time. You take if there is one person better than you, that means you are not as good. And that's what we have learned to tell ourselves. Right. And it's wrong.
It is wrong. It is wrong. Now, here, Kenny Powers. Oh, I love you, Kenny. He says 9 years, no rings. Let's just look at that. Do you think anybody in this league gets 9 years if the operation is bad? So clearly, he has been allowed to exist in a non-championship universe that he lives in. So what is the reason for that? Well, it's because he's a really, really, really good football coach. Billy, again, is saying, because he also cost us those games. He's not a good coach. He's a good play scripter. What do you think coaching is?
Try writing a script. By the way, everyone here, try writing that script.
Right.
Try writing that script. Look
at it this way. If it were just that easy, how come Mike Nolan didn't go to a whole bunch of Super Bowls that then he lost and you complained about? You didn't even go. You didn't even go. Do I have to bring you back to Mike Singletary, Dennis Erickson, Chip Kelly, Jim Tom Sula? How many Super Bowls did they even bother losing? Oh, that's right. None, because they never even got to it. And I do have to tell you this, because it just seems like if this guy hasn't won a Super Bowl in X amount of years, he stinks. Well, guess what? In the history of the entire Super Bowl era, so we're going back to the merger, 35 human beings have been head coaches that have won Super Bowl. 35 humans in the history of the planet have won a Super Bowl. 35 of them. So to say that Kyle has not joined that list in only 9 years, I know you feel like you're trying to make a point. The only thing you're demonstrating is you have no idea about the history or how hard this is. Okay? Some of the great coaches ever have 1 or 0 Super Bowls.
Doug Peterson has been fired twice since winning a Super Bowl, and it wasn't that long ago. Philly special, remember that Super Bowl? Tom Brady threw for 500 yards. It wasn't that long ago. Doug Peterson has been fired twice since winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay? There's 35 guys, and they lose their jobs. And trust me, those organizations are wondering what happened. Hold on to something if it's great. And if you're close enough, you'd be surprised. You're actually almost right there.
Joseph coming in. Thank you, Joseph, as always. I can't wait for the season to start and Brock to shit his pants and all the Brock riders just stare at the TV, open mouth, and look stupid. 5-12, baby. Okay, so Joseph, if the opposite happens, will you shut the fuck up? You won't. Because your identity in this universe of Niners content creation is hating this guy. And the minute he's good, you are going to look like the person who doesn't know what he's talking about. So I don't think you will ever volunteer. I completely evaluated that incorrectly. The guy who, even though since the day he threw his first pass, has led the league in passer rating, a guy who was 7th in QBR last year, even though the 49ers couldn't throw the football, that he is the one that's got to go. He's the problem. I feel like I'm on a treadmill about this story, and this is why the Niners' slow approach to doing business maddens me. It just gives the doubters more ammunition to fire at a topic that should have been closed weeks ago.
But I will do one thing. I will be here with you when this contract is signed, and I will praise York, Lynch, and Shanahan for doing the right thing. I will. As long as it gets done, I will praise it. I think franchise tag would. I mean, I don't hate, and that maybe we could introduce that. I don't hate franchise tag. I don't hate it because ask the Giants if they wish they franchised Saquon. I mean, I don't hate franchise tag. Purdy wouldn't either. His agent would, but Purdy, realistically, if you got Purdy in a room and said, "Okay, we're going to give you $42 million,"
I don't think Purdy would hold out. I really don't. I don't either. Think Purdy would hold out. I know his agent would advise him to, and that agent wouldn't be giving bad advice because you are one play away from everything coming to a screeching halt.
And he's seen that, and he has seen that in an NFC Championship. Right. He has seen the dreams die momentarily, and I'm sure there were days and nights where he thought, "Wow, could this be it?" Because when you're talking about shoulders and quarterbacks, I mean that's a scary thing.
It is.
But guess what? You really just have to ask yourself: are you excited about a long-term deal to have your guy locked up at 50? And again, it's not your money. No one, Jed York's not going to be calling any of you for a loan on this. Okay, so don't worry about that. And everyone involved in this has got plenty of money, so don't worry about it. But basically, at $50 million, are you okay? And then at $40 million, you should consider yourself lucky if it's 40 long term. It's not going to be 40 long term. It's 40 for a year. Ask yourself, are you happy about that? And are you going to
care what the annual average value is? Give this guy a 4-year deal where it's a 200 million, 150-ish guaranteed, and just be done with it. What the fuck? Well, I mean, like, again, the blueprint for the contract that Brock Purdy is going to get is easy to see. It's all in front of them. What are they negotiating for or with or worried about? And here's the thing. If you really don't have the conviction that I do with this guy, then move on. Trade him this draft. Get all the picks.
There you go.
Hit the reset button. I mean, there's no reason why the 49ers are hostage to the tightrope of a negotiation that doesn't even really exist.
Dak Prescott, I think it was Joseph who said, we're going to pay him for something he's already done. Dak Prescott's contract, it's likely based mostly on the memories of, think about how long ago this is, Damon. 2016. Dak's rookie season is his best season. Dak's rookie season, and they, by the way, as home field advantage, bye week, and lost their first playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And not because of Dak. Dak played very well in that game. They were leading, and it was an incredible throw from Rodgers to Cook that ended that season. But 2016, we're talking about, even if you are paying the guy for the past, we're talking about 22 and 23, years that we can all remember. Cowboys fans have to say, okay, we were excited about Dak in 2016, and he's making $50 million. Pay Brock Purdy.
Again, the $50 million that you are hesitant to give to Brock Purdy now in 3 seasons the 20th best quarterback in football is making $50 million. It is every quarterback in football is about to be a $30 million position. Every starting quarterback. And when I say starting quarterback, what I mean is you're QB1 on the depth chart, you get hurt. And then the minute you're healthy again, the job is yours again. Doesn't matter how well the backup played. That to me is a starting quarterback.
Yes.
And every single one of those dudes is at $35 million. And will be, and going forward. And then, so that means 50 is not that far away. Again, we kept on talking about the mythical, who's going to be the first $70 million a year quarterback? Is it going to be Jaden Daniels? Guess what? It's already been agreed to. Lamar Jackson is 2 years away from $70 million being his cap hit. So that what we think is a fictitious, way in the future price point is actually an already contractually agreed to price point.
It's here. It's here.
So I'm just so sick and tired of everyone worrying about everybody else's money in a league that is printing its own. Everyone's a billionaire. Even the teams that suck are worth billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. It's just insane.
You know what? And by the way,
I need this Brock Purdy deal done, and I need the draft to start tomorrow because I'm tired of being the spinning wheels. But boy, the NFL is so good at just dominating media cycles, and that brings us to our next point here, Sammy. Because we've been talking Brock for a fucking hour.
That's amazing. By the way, good. You know what, Brock can thank us, and his agent can thank us. And by the way, let the Bengals for the first time ever be the example that the Niners should follow. The Bengals just paid all their guys, all of them. And they're the last team. They're 32nd in regards to being that team, and they just did it.
This is the most reasonable 49ers conversation I've heard in a long time. It's been a nice change of pace. Thank you, Lori. And that's probably why we don't have 700,000 people watching right now, because this is the attempt of reason means a lot of people might not be interested in that. Because if you can have an angry person screaming about how everyone involved in this sucks and should be fired, well, there's a show that's going to get an awful lot of attention.
We're being positive. We're being positive, and it's rare. I really encourage all of you to look at this from that side. I'm not going to be glass half full about everything in my life, but I'm sorry, as a Niners fan, your glass is half full.
Yeah, it certainly is at the quarterback position. And oh, by the way, it's a half full glass that you literally were walking down the street and picked up. I mean, you had a lottery ticket dropped in front of you, and you're going to complain about how hard you need to scratch it?
No, you don't want to go turn it in. You've got it, and you just don't want to show. They're making me show up to collect the money. Really? Okay.
Sorry. Hell yeah, Damon. Hell yeah, Sammy. Happy Thursday. Thank you very much again. Great to have everybody in the chat. We're just getting going here. We got much more to get into. Starting with, again, you and I know media. We know NFL cycles, and God almighty, they're so good at just controlling every single month now. There used to be something that was known as off seasons. There's more news and more business and more attention paid out of season than in season, almost in some cases. CBS.com has the very latest saying that the 2025 NFL schedule is going to be released in May, although the exact date hasn't been set in stone. This is how good these sons of bitches are. They're going to get me talking about the schedules might be coming. I mean, God almighty.
I want to give JT the credit on one thing.
Yeah.
JT was the first person to tell me. I didn't realize he was the first person, and this is now, we're probably going 2 decades ago. He was the first person to tell me the schedule release is Christmas Day. And he didn't mean on Christmas Day. He said, this is Christmas morning, unwrapping a gift is the schedule release. And I didn't really understand what he meant. And then over the next few years, I started to understand how the hype behind it was so great. As a fan, to find out where your team is going to be and when becomes such a beautiful gift to find out where you might, because there's the idea that you might go visit your team in Brazil or in Seattle, wherever, right? Wherever, or look who's going to be here on this date. And then, of course, my favorite, just going through win, loss, win, loss.
Don't know who's healthy, don't know who's available, don't know who's playing for either team. But this is definitely week 6. That's a win.
That's a win. Oh, you kidding me? Oh, we got that. We got that. We got that. 16-0.
Credit to Joseph here, who comes in again saying, I will say I was wrong, but prove it, bum-ass Brock. He's not a bum.
He's just not. He's just not.
The literal opposite of a bum. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So, by the way, for the schedule, so Damon, for this schedule release, I will say the greatest that I've seen, I think the Chargers or the Titans did it the best, but the social media has also been beautiful for this day.
Who is it? Who are is it the when they made up all the wrong names, all the people who weren't familiar with
it was the Titans. The Titans were the first. It was done so well.
Release ever.
Please do yourself a favor and look up Titans schedule release, and you'll see it. I think they did it 2 years in a row the last 2 seasons, and they go sort of man on the street to ask everyone what they think of the teams that the Titans are going to play that season. It's incredible, and it is so fun. And the Chargers also did an amazing job with an anime version of all the matchups. I
saw that. Yeah. Hold on 1 second here. Hold on.
It's so good. I love sketch. And by the way, we already know. Here's the best part, David. Not only are we talking about it today, we already know who all of the opponents are going to be. So you're not finding out who your team is even playing.
It's
just how it's slotted. Yes. That's it. It's
but
just
that matters a lot.
You're right, because now I'm circling a game that I think I want to be at. And I'll give the Chargers credit for one other thing. They've got a great ad campaign going on right now. And it says, this season we'll be playing these guys. And it's a graphic of Mahomes and Hurts. And thank you, Damon. Thank you for getting it. Should we just relive this right now?
Wait a minute.
It's so beautiful. This is done so well.
It's now playing. Was it playing?
Oh, so it's down there. It's the other window. So you got to then click the window over there.
What do I got this crap page that it took me to? Hold on. Let me see if I can get a better version of this here. Is this it? This is 2024. Why is it bringing me to Facebook? What the fuck?
That's amazing. It's there. They're all showing up, and the one on IG is, I think, the easiest way to get it. But still,
2024. It's 2020.
It's both. It's 23 and 24. They did it 2 seasons in a row, and it's so good. It's so good. I mean, it is just it is brilliantly executed.
Or some sort of like a copyright claim. So I won't even play it. But watch the video. It's great. Everyone's seen it. Anyway, the schedule, it does matter. It's coming out in mid-May. The only things we know, though, is that week 1 definitely starts September 4th, Thursday night in Philadelphia. Super Bowl gets to be the opener. We also know that both the Lions and Cowboys will be hosting games on November 27th, Thanksgiving. And we also know the 7 teams that will be the home team in international games. We don't know who the opponent's going to be yet, but we know that the Jaguars, Jets, and Browns are all going to London. The Colts are going to Berlin. The Steelers are going to Dublin. The Dolphins are going to Madrid, and the Chargers are going to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Don't know who their opponents are going to be, but I'll tell you, by the way, you know what? The Jaguars are always going to be an international team because they kind of want to be, and they don't sell out. The Raiders used to always get picked to be a home team, but now they sell out so many games at Allegiant Stadium that they're not
going to Mexico anymore. They're not going to Mexico anymore. No, it's great. And by the way, you know what? For everyone who fought this idea and thought Goodell was out of his mind, can you read the list of international games again? And by the way, and these are not throwaway international games. They will be hyped as special standalone games. Remember that, and remember just how brilliant that is.
Right. These aren't going to be the 6 a.m. kickoff that you don't. You didn't even really want to. You kind of forgot that the game was on, but it was a Friday night opening week game, Packers and Eagles in Brazil last season. It was a standalone, high-end TGIF game on a Friday last season to kick off the Packers and the Eagles campaign. That was done so incredible. By the way, on streaming, which is no longer, nobody's complaining whether it's streaming or not anymore. That's how everyone's consuming everything. But this is so what Goodell did, and to have the foresight to fight through all of the negative commentary on this and, how can you play game? Why would you play games elsewhere? It's brilliant. It's fucking worked out so well. It's just there's a big since the Niners are maybe, who are they playing at? So the Niners are at the Colts.
Okay.
At some point in time this year, which means that is a game that could be in Berlin. We don't know yet. There is an awful lot of talk that the 49ers are going to be hosting a game in Mexico City next season already.
Awesome.
But I mean, look, you cannot. There's really nowhere left to grow the game in America. It's omnipresent. It's ever present. Everybody clicks the button every single time they see it. NFL, yes. So now bringing in more people globally is the next place to go for bigger revenue, and they're never going to want a smaller revenue pie. So they're always going to be looking to grow the game, and internationally is basically the way to do it. By the way, yes, this is from
read this, please.
Barry McHawkener Q saying, Damon, the truth, Bruce, it's obvious you don't mind paying Brock that amount, but that's not something, but that's something I don't necessarily disagree with. My question is, will the money be worth it if Brock doesn't get a ring? Well, again, you don't get to buy a Super Bowl. There's no amount of money that you can spend on any talent at any position that guarantees anything. These are all educated guesses. These are all investments that you make hoping that they give you your best chance to do it.
And let me say one other thing. You can say ring, which for one season would make you best, but I still think what you're going to have to do to fairly answer that question is take the totality of his career and line up the other teams in the NFC and ask which of these teams in the NFC was in contention for a Super Bowl more often than Brock Purdy 49ers teams. That's what you're going to have to ask. And right now, the only team that can make that claim is the Eagles. There's one team right now that can say they were in the NFC and in contention truly for a Super Bowl more often than the Niners. And if you were going to bet your money moving forward, you'd probably say Washington right now looks like the team that might be in contention for a Super Bowl more often than San Francisco moving forward. Maybe I would make that bet and say it's Washington, but that's it. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, Eagles are in the conversation.
But again, is the window, like, what is the window and what is the future? And by the way, the Eagles didn't have a great...
They're in their window. Washington is just like walking up to the windowsill. Yes, they have a...
And by the way, and a lot fell for them correctly to end up in an NFC championship, but they did. And so that tells you, okay, well, there's a season of being in contention for a Super Bowl. The first season of Jaden Daniels, they're in contention for a Super Bowl. So that projects forward to mean that every single season of his career would be that, right? If you're just doing the math, you're going to exponentially say, okay, fine. For the next 10 years, that's where they could be. Yeah, could be. Let's see. Let's see. And by the way, availability already was a little bit of a thing for Jaden Daniels. So just keep that in mind also.
Yeah, just throwing it out there. Since we're talking still quarterbacks, I don't want to say, let's not even say Brock's name again. I can't do it this way.
Fine.
If the Steelers draft Shedeur Sanders,
I love this.
Does that mean Aaron Rodgers is the man left standing in the game of musical chairs? If he's not going to Steelers, Sammy, where's Aaron Rodgers going?
Is it crazy? And by the way, I put it out there on the thumbnail on Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam. Would you rather? Like Shedeur Sanders or Aaron Rodgers? I mean, the Steelers are kind of looking at that right now, and they got to make moves to get Shedeur probably, but really ask yourself as a Steelers fan, even ask yourself as a Niners fan, would you want either of those guys more than Brock? I do want to just say that real quick. Would you, as a Niners fan, would you want Rodgers, Shedeur, or Brock? And I think it's an easy answer.
No.
Again, I think it's an easy answer. I think the guy you've got is far and away better than both of those options. Far and away. And the question in Pittsburgh, really, I think it's also an easy one. If you're telling me Shedeur or Aaron Rodgers right now, Damon, if you could say right now as a Steelers fan, who would you really want there? Are you better for a decade with Aaron Rodgers or Shedeur Sanders?
No, I mean, look at it this way. You're at the beginning of a career that you know nothing about, or you're at the end of a career that the best of it will never be yours. And I would take the guy whose trajectory is upwards, not downwards. And look, there's a lot of talk about Shedeur. He might be the guy to fall in this draft. And I understand the doubts. I also will tell you, look, dude, that's Deion's kid. He's been groomed to be successful as a pro since he's been a baby. And he's pretty damn good.
Both Manning brothers turned out well. And it was, by the way, and nobody was sort of babied into the league more than Eli. I mean, the idea that he told the Chargers, I'm not interested, and that worked out. I mean, because first of all, the Giants are not happy with their quarterback, right? The Giants would love to have prime Eli Manning back in their lives. And remember how well the Eli Manning thing worked. I mean, Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. He doesn't, first ballot, it doesn't have to be, that's fine. But he is a Hall of Famer. And it worked out, and he was as babied as you could have been. And Shedeur Sanders, I agree with you. I think Shedeur Sanders comes from a pedigree that is going to work in his favor. That's going to help him, not hinder him.
Betting on the sons of Hall of Famers has done pretty good. Well, in the Bay Area. I mean,
how about that?
It's betting on DNA. Isn't a bad place to walk into a casino and start betting on athletes. It really isn't. But I'm just trying to look at, Aaron Rodgers availability. So let's just say, theoretically, the Steelers are out. Well, who is in the I need a quarterback business at this point? It's easy to say the Titans, but they're about to draft Cam Ward #1 overall. So let's take them right out of that business. The Saints just restructured Derek Carr's deal. So he's intact there. They're not going to bring in Aaron Rodgers to sit behind Derek Carr. That's not happening. So you can take the Saints off the board. Minnesota, maybe. But the guy the guy that they want is already in the room in McCarthy. So they have drafted their Shedeur Sanders already. So they probably want to go in that direction than stick with, going to the Aaron Rodgers direction. Also, Carolina's not looking to move on from Bryce Young after he kind of had a strong second half last year. Who in football will be interested in Aaron Rodgers and all that comes with that at his advanced age at this point in his career?
Nobody needs it
for a draft.
Nobody needs it right now, and there's a couple of ways to look at this. I'm gonna go with the measured approach, and then I'm gonna say something outrageous, which I think would be really exciting. So the measured approach on this, even from Aaron Rodgers himself, if I'm in Aaron Rodgers' camp, here's what I want. I want the draft to happen. I want to chill out, and I don't even want a team when the season starts. I want to be savior Aaron Rodgers. I want to be Joe Flacco Browns 2 seasons ago. Right. That's who I want to be. I want to take a team that is partially intact, that needs a little more at quarterback, and how I want the Colts to be at a quandary between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, to be middling and still contending in the AFC South, and then needing
that. And I'm not trying to speak an injury on anybody.
Sure.
Bo Nix tears his ACL in week 3. You telling me Sean Payton's not calling Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers, please you can't get here fast enough. And again, the hype and the excitement behind that is so much better than the months of us questioning whether he's better than what could have been as a draft pick, etc. Aaron Rodgers, hang tight, do your thing, be on the beach, do whatever kind of weird camp out shit you want to do. And the phone's gonna ring, dude. The phone's gonna ring. We know that. The phone's gonna ring, and it may be that best situation in Minnesota. It of course it could be, but that's the measured approach.
Hey, you're a grade 2 MCL strain away from being on a roster.
Dude, Flacco played last season. Every single season, there's we got to call somebody. Every season, there's we got to call somebody. And Rodgers is that call. Rodgers should be that call, and he's in play for 32 options as opposed to right now, which feels like 2. Now, that's the measured approach. The outrageous thing I want to say is this. Could the Titans tell themselves that the generational talent in this draft is not a quarterback and is, in fact, Travis Hunter? That the generational player here, that over a decade, we're going to be so excited that we took Travis Hunter as opposed to kicking ourselves for having the chance to do it. And we took the player that is going to reshape what this franchise does, and it's not a quarterback, which can be rare, but it, of course, happens. There's plenty of years where the draft happens and the best player from that draft was not at all the quarterback, and certainly not the quarterback that was taken first. That happens again and again and again. So if somebody in the Titans is convinced of that, there's no one at quarterback for the Titans right now. I mean, they do not. That is far from a solution. If you take Cam Ward off their draft card, The immediate solution for this upcoming season is not there.
Right.
Could the Titans be the team? Could draft night be about not taking a quarterback and figuring it out by the end of that weekend that Aaron Rodgers is the guy that you've got coming to Nashville?
That would be stunner.
That would be stunning. It would be awesome. It would put Aaron Rodgers in a great light. There'd be some awesome comparison. He would be fueled up to prove that he can do more than all he has to do at that point is be better than the rookie quarterbacks. I understand that wouldn't have been easy this season with Jaden Daniels, but it's not every season that Jaden Daniels is playing as a rookie that way. That doesn't happen. That happens once a decade. So Aaron Rodgers only has to be better than the rookie class at that point. And I think Aaron Rodgers can do that.
Well, and, somebody here in the chat was just like, here it is right here. Jay King says he's cooked. Now, look, coming off an Achilles at his age, he is definitely overdone. He's well done. He is no longer medium rare. He's not medium. He is past. He is well done. But I will say this about Aaron Rodgers, and I am no fan of him, how he acts, how he behaves, his, if you distrust everything, well, then everything's a conspiracy, I guess, right? If you just, I'll say this, though, about Aaron Rodgers, as bad as he was, as bad as the Jets were, in his final 10 games, he threw for over 2,200 yards, 18 touchdowns, and only 4 picks. In his last 10 games, Aaron Rodgers gave you half of a season that you'd be thrilled to get from anybody.
Rams are pretty excited about Devontae Adams because of what happened over the course of the second half of the season. And the guy throwing him the ball was Aaron Rodgers. It was awful to start. Ask Robert Saleh. I'm sure he's wondering what the hell happened there. But what happened at the end, and of course, when the Jets season was basically, talk about being cooked, the Jets season was cooked at that point. But Rodgers played well enough. And the other thing, I'll tie them together once again. What Favre did as a New York Jet is forgettable. I mean, part of it on the internet is not forgettable because it was kind of spectacular and hilarious. But the part on the field was nothing that anyone was excited about. It was over. Remember, Favre retired as a Packer, came back, signed with the Jets. It was Jay Glazer actually got the scoop. Everyone thought he was going to the Bucks, and he ended up with the Jets. It was an amazing story. Everyone was going for that story. Glazer, I'll give him credit, was he had it right, and nobody else did. He's a Jet, and then, guess what? After he seems done, he leads the Vikings to the NFC Championship. And he was every bit of Brett Favre for Minnesota.
Right.
And Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't be stunned if he's got one more amazing gasp in him.
The Jets are like Jeffrey Epstein. Like everyone associated with them is tainted and damaged, and there's no being successful. Like the Jets ruin everything and everyone they touch. They really do. Whatever the Midas touch is, it's the opposite. They don't got it. They got the Jets touch.
No, it's like looking at Medusa. Really, it is. The Jets is like staring at Medusa's snake hair, and you just turn to stone. That's it. It's over.
So let's talk about a team that used to have some Medusa properties to it.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, for a long time, before they got the move in their brand new stadium and their facilities, which are apparently second to none, the Raiders are very well set up and appointed in Las Vegas, from their stadium to their team facilities to everything. The Raiders have always had one of the, look at it this way. San Diego Charger fans have to admit, Kansas City Chiefs fans have to admit, man, those Raiders got some great uniforms. Oh, those are great uniforms. Those are great uniforms. You hate the Raiders. You got to love those uniforms. Geno Smith is now with the Raiders, and he is telling everyone why. And it's not because of the uniforms. It's not because of the nice life and living fat opportunity that he's got coming to him in Las Vegas. You can live high on the hog in Las Vegas, and state income tax free state. It's not the unis. It's not even being reunited with Pete Carroll. But what Geno's excited about is now he gets to tap into what the greatest mentor a quarterback could have. Geno Smith signed with the Raiders because he now gets to learn at the hand of Tom Brady. There's a big article about this saying, he basically said, I get to tap into the single greatest resource in the history of the position. I've already been down to his house. I'm already taking notes. I'm already trying to learn everything I can and just be a sponge. I mean, look, and whatever you want to say about Tom Brady, outside of staying married to a Brazilian, he crushes just about everything he tries, even the whole broadcaster thing. The criticism's probably a little overblown because we just finally get to say, well, you're not great at something. You top out as good. Tom Brady topping out as good at something is a cataclysmic failure, right? I mean,
but by the way, as a broadcaster, Damon, you grew up wanting to broadcast your entire life.
Yeah.
Okay. What would the pinnacle of that experience be? Calling what? Maybe we're watching it right now, the Masters, right? I mean, like as a broadcaster, you're telling yourself, if I could wake up as Jim Nance, I would win the lottery, right? So 100%. The number one thing you want to do as a broadcaster, as a kid when you're practicing, we all practice the shot in the last second shot that the Spurs hit against the Warriors last night. We're all practicing those moments in life. But as a broadcaster, holding a comb upside down and talking into it, you're calling Kirk Gibson's home run in the World Series, or you're calling a Super Bowl. And Tom Brady, as a broadcaster in his first season, you know what he did?
And we'll see you tomorrow
night. Jack Buck, thank you. So your moment as a rookie broadcaster, you called the Super Bowl.
Not bad.
So you know what? That as a rookie, he called the Super Bowl. So
did he earn it? Did he deserve it? No and no. Is he better than Greg Olsen? No. But you know what he's better at? He's better at being Tom Brady than Greg Olsen will ever be.
And this is already paying dividends for the Raiders. As much as it could have been, people thought it would be a deterrent. It's actually only a deterrent potentially to his broadcast career, that eventually someone could say he's too tied to the organization and we're not going to allow him to broadcast anymore. That could happen. That conversation will happen. There are people that are very upset that Tom Brady is so tied to the Raiders and still allowed to broadcast games in this league and potentially find out inside information. Okay, enough of that. I don't give a shit, but okay. The fact that Geno Smith said this just tells you, A, that Brady's a big part of the decisions, which we all would want. By the way, right. Would you want Tom Brady's opinion? If he's part of your football?
Yes.
I don't understand. He's supposed to not have an opinion on this? He's supposed to not have an opinion on that position, by the way?
Right.
This is so perfect. And you and I loved, and really we called the Geno Smith thing. You and I were talking about what might happen for Geno Smith. He was still a Seahawk, and by the way, he was not, again, this was not free agency. Geno Smith was not a free agent, and we said it right here together.
Another dude who the Jets ruined and turned into a Medusa.
And look at that. Medusa, and then they thawed him out, and look at what he became. So I'm rooting heavily for what the Raiders do. I already told you, I think every Super Bowl should be in Las Vegas. It doesn't mean the Raiders are going to play in it, but I think every Super Bowl should be right there. I love what's happening in Vegas as a sports town and how the A is not there yet. But Tom Brady being tied to this organization is a beautiful move. And credit to Mark Davis, frankly.
It's the most credibility the Raiders have attached to themselves since Mark Davis took over.
And credit to Mark, because by the way, if you got to take a backseat to somebody, like who thinks Tom Brady isn't riding shotgun in any car ride he takes?
Right.
Let it happen.
And even if you're driving, everybody's looking at Brady.
That's for damn sure. And by the way, let it happen. That's an opinion I want on these decisions.
One last NFL thing before we just sort of look around the rest of the world here, Danny. Yeah. Julio Jones has called it a career. Last weekend, he basically said, I'm good. At the age of 36, he's retiring. He is starting a Hall of Fame clock. When he's eligible 5 years from now, the argument that he goes in first ballot is a strong one. It's a strong argument. Now, he's also at the most log-jammed position as well, so maybe that hurts him. If you're in a log jam, let's talk championships won. He really hasn't,
28 threes, as close as he got.
Yeah. So he doesn't have the Lombardi trophy. He doesn't have the team accolade that is always the tiebreaker, the championship, the whatever. But what he does have are 2 All-Pros, He made the Pro Bowl 7 times, including 6 straight years at one point.
Is that good?
He led the NFL in receiving yards twice. He had the average receiving yards 3 times, receptions once. He had 7 1,000-yard seasons. And in 2015, why I think Julio should be a first ballot is because he delivered me to a fantasy football championship with what is still the second highest single season league total receiving yardage in league history, where he had 1,800 plus yards receiving. Dude nearly had a 2,000-yard receiving season, for goodness sakes. And he was awesome that year. Of the wide receivers drafted in the last 25 years, there are 4 that stand out above everybody. And it's easy to know who they are. Everybody could probably just say them out loud. It is Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, even though it ended poorly, Antonio Brown, and this guy. Julio Jones is one of the single greatest wide receivers in a stacked era of wide receivers and offensive explosion. Really good football player. He's one of those guys that even though he is so good and everyone knew it, nobody ever held the never won a title against him.
And as far as stacked goes, let's muddy it up a little more, because pass catcher is actually the term now. Receiver is in a gray area now, because tight ends, when you're talking Hall of Fame, Kelsey and Gronkowski are now a part of this. So stacked at a position becomes really, when you're talking pass catchers, especially because Kelsey is ahead of Jerry Rice in a couple of key categories postseason wise that he just now, yeah. Right. So Kelsey and Gronk, add that if you want to muddy it up further. But let me simplify this from a Hall of Fame standpoint. This position is so interesting because it's not necessarily, the first thought is not about physically dominating. When it comes to receiver, you can be a lot of things, right? You can be crafty, you can be shifty, you can be the fastest guy, etc. But when it comes to physically dominating, if you look at what the Hall of Fame has done, who are the guys that are in the Hall of Fame at this position that we can think of recently? Calvin Johnson, Andre Johnson, Terrell Owens. Physically, we're talking taller and more physically imposing than their opponent almost every single week. And Julio Jones is in that Mount Rushmore, in my eyes, of guys that when they were out there, your eye goes to them at that position, because when they're lined up, they look different. They look like statues out there, different than every statue of David. I'm talking, they look different, chiseled to be on this planet to do that one thing, if not on a basketball court.
Right.
They look like they were put on the planet to dominate that position unlike anybody else. Those, for me, will be the guys that I will remember. Maybe we can add somebody. I encourage someone in the comments to tell me about another guy that physically dominating. Andre Johnson, Calvin Johnson, Terrell Owens, Julio Jones.
By the way, I know we said we weren't going to bring up his name again.
Please, yes, give me Brock.
Isn't this truly at the heart of the reason that Brock is doubted? You put Brock's statistics, resume, draft status, all of it, and you put it into a 6'5" physical specimen. I don't think there is anything but great seasons ahead for that. But because Brock comes in, he's been a hell of a read, but you hate the jacket. You hate the book cover, so you're ripping the book based on its cover. And what do we all know? You don't judge a book by its cover.
Please don't. Please don't, and please understand Brock in those parameters. And again, even a guy like Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald, he wasn't quite as big as the guys I'm talking about, but almost. Big dude. But a big dude, certainly. And looking good at the Masters, by the way, for those.
Niners. Nobody put more receiving yards up on the Niners individually in their career than Larry Fitzgerald did. He killed him.
So that's why when you start comparing him to other receivers, Julio Jones, I think he deserves. And 2 other notes on Julio Jones. The catch in the Super Bowl that Julio Jones lost is going to be remembered as Julian Edelman, which is an amazing catch. Okay, right. But please look up right now. I believe if you look up Julio Jones catch right now on Google, this is the catch that will come up. The catch that he made in that Super Bowl is the toe tap of note in the NFL forever. It is a spectacular play by Julio Jones you need to watch, because you'll forget that Super Bowl is so forgotten. The Falcons did a lot right in that Super Bowl to go up 28-3. Please watch how Julio Jones almost won that game for the Falcons. Right. It was unreal what he did. And yes, Edelman, that catch deserves credit, but go back and see what Julio Jones did. And another thing, Julio Jones has a game in this league with the best players going up against him where he caught 300 yards. He has a 300-yard receiving game. And when you talk about every week trying to dominate your opponent, first of all, what team isn't game planning against Julio Jones each week? And it was the divisional game. I'm forgetting right now who the Falcons. I know it was the divisional game. I'm forgetting the opponent at the moment, but it was the divisional game. So it was someone who absolutely knew to get it. Might have been the Panthers. I think it was Falcons-Panthers. I'll look it up. But Julio Jones went for 300 yards in a game where you know the entire week they were talking about stopping him. He caught 300 yards in a game. There's some things I cannot get out of my mind. And to see that position wipe and run a game that way, I'll never forget. And Julio Jones is first ballot, and he's on that Mount Rushmore of guys that in my lifetime of watching football at that position, the guys that I would say I'd want that would be my draft picks forever are Andre Johnson, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, and Terrell Owens.
Yeah. At no point in time was a defensive coordinator rolling his coverage over to Mohamed Sanu.
It just didn't happen. It just did not.
Mohamed Sanu.
The guy wants to be called Mohamed Sanu. Let the guy be called Mohamed Sanu.
Call him Mohamed Sanu.
Unbelievable. Julio,
by the way,
tip of the cap.
Another spot for a Hamantasha.
It is. You're right. Stetas Hamantash. Yeah, we did the bit from Coming to America. So Stetas Hamantash, Stetas Hamantash, Hummentash, a delectable cookie that you all should be a part of. Stetas Hamantash. There you go.
I said, waiter, there's a fly in my soup. He said, okay, get it out with your spoon. There's no spoon. Aha. All right. So last night, Sammy, I went on out to Chase Center to watch.
I'm so glad.
I even told Jillian, I said, so I decide to go to the single worst NBA game on the schedule. What could be worse than the San Antonio Spurs rolling into town? No Wembanyama, no De'Aaron Fox, no Greg Popovich. It is a group of dudes that you've never even fucking heard of.
That's amazing.
And Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul playing for the San Antonio Spurs. The Warriors should have this game put to bed by the 8-minute mark of the third quarter. No fourth quarter minutes for Steph, Dre, or Jimmy. This is going to be bored. I picked the wrong game to come to. Harrison Barnes, dagger 3. Warriors lose a devastating game at home concerning their playoff standings, positioning, and they just let one of the worst teams in the world beat them on their home court when they needed it. And that ain't good. That's all the excitement that the Warriors have been drumming up over the last handful of weeks has really been sapped away by a bad loss to the Rockets. And now here's the thing. If you can't beat a Wembanyama-less, De'Aaron Fox-less Spurs team, who you taking out in 7 games in the postseason?
And many of us just took the Nuggets out of the conversation for a championship, obviously, with what they did, right? You know, you fire your championship-winning coach 3 games before the regular season ends, and nobody thinks that that's the move to win you. So essentially, the
right time for an organizational restructure.
Feels interesting. Feels like that meeting should have come maybe at a different time. But if you take the Nuggets out now, and you're looking at the Western Conference, everyone's got the OKC. We haven't seen it yet. We're not sure. Same for Houston, you could argue. And it's everyone's kind of really feeling Warriors or Lakers. Warriors or Lakers, who's it going to be? And remember at that game you were at, the night that you were at that game, look what the Lakers did in Dallas also. I mean, that's the scary part is that on that night, a week removed from the Warriors proving to the world that they were better than the Lakers, a week removed from that game, the Warriors go out and it's, again, not just a game where you're off all night, a game where you're up 12 in the third quarter. Steph's hitting shots. Everything seems to be going your way. It is a Warriors script for most of that game. How does it unravel to that point? How does it become that while Luka is dropping 45 on the team that traded him away prove that the Lakers are here?
What a night for Luka. Gets all emotional in the "We Love You, Luka" tribute video. There's "Thank you, Luka" in Serbian T-shirts all over, which fans should have used to start a bonfire at center court and burn the American Airlines Center down when the game was over. It's the least defensible trade since Babe Ruth. It is in sport. It really is. And it is, there's only one way it could actually have gotten worse. And thanks to Mike Malone being fired in Denver, that way has materialized. Do you realize, Sam, that this now officially opens the door for a Jokic exit from Denver, unless he was behind Malone getting fired? A lot of people said that, the reason why Malone is getting gone is because he kept on going to Russ over guys that the GM wanted played, and they were losing those games, but then the GM got fired too. So I don't know if it's just that or not. I don't know if we know why this happened. If Jokic didn't say this should happen, it shouldn't have happened. So maybe Jokic is happy, but Jokic has never for a minute to me been in love with even being in the NBA, much less being a Denver Nugget. Here's the thing. To that guy, basketball's a job.
And he does it well, much like we're talking about Purdy kind of being somebody that doesn't stir shit.
He's not interested in all the other trappings which guys really are interested. He's not interested in nightlife. He's not interested in banging chicks. He's not interested in fashion. He's not interested in anything other than going back to Serbia and riding a horse. That's all he wants to do. He's not even interested in your championship parade. That's tomorrow? I wanted to leave today. Ugh. So I don't think he gives a fuck where his check comes from. I really don't. Do you realize that the other thing that he detests is media attention and spotlight, which means, Jokic maybe joining Luka in LA would be harder to sell than Jokic. Why don't you go join Luka in Dallas? The two Serbian bros can literally operate in a universe that garners almost no attention, no spotlight. You're not the Lakers. You're not the Celtics. You're not the Warriors. There's no reason for Stephen A. Smith to be making fun of this. And you're not, just like it was there. Luka could have been a career Maverick, and I bet you he could have eventually landed Jokic to come play with him.
I love this idea so much. I want this to be the take of note from this, is that Jokic and Luka could have been together, because I love that so much. And I only want to say one thing, and I'm gonna tip my cap to Colin Cowherd. He didn't say this before I'm gonna say it, but it's sort of just a lifetime of having this opinion. Colin, during Russell Westbrook's MVP season, was so convinced that Russell Westbrook eventually would burn out just about everybody he played with. Okay, we're talking MVP, the height of Russ. Colin, I sat in a room with him many times, and he said, first of all, the triple-double thing is not quite what you think it is, and it doesn't lead to wins the way you might think it does. And I guarantee you Russell Westbrook isn't making everybody happy on his team, even in this pursuit of the triple-double record. It was an amazing season. It was an amazing accomplishment, but history is going to prove that Colin was right with that. And in the end, Mike Malone, right. And it's a brilliant segment because of that. But Mike Malone is out of a job largely because he played Russell Westbrook over the course of his last 5 games as coach of the Nuggets. Russell Westbrook cost him specifically 2 wins. 2 wins, having Westbrook in prime position on the court, cost the Nuggets 2 wins. And if that was a point of contention between the GM and the coach, it wasn't the coach's decision to put him out there. It was what Westbrook did with that decision that turned out so poorly. And that's a shame, because not only do I love Mike Malone and I think that he's the right coach for the Nuggets, what he did at the championship parade was next level. He's one of those coaches that we all can see ourselves. If we were coaching in the NBA, that's the kind of dude we'd want to be.
Yeah, and look, he's hard on his own team. He criticizes his very best players, which maybe don't sit well with them. But when you're going to criticize the best, that gets everybody to fall in line. And I like everything about Mike Malone. This is an absolute shocker. And I've tried to see it explained away by people in Denver whose, work I respect. And, even they're having trouble trying to sell this in any this is a value add. The Nuggets are now better.
No, I'm sorry. The owner Kroenke spoke the day that this happened. And what he said, which I'll remember always, is I spoke with my dad and we already made the decision that that we were moving on from both the coach and the GM at the end of this season. That's amazing. Again, 2 years removed from a championship, a playoff team as a 4 seed at the time in the West,
winning coach in franchise history,
and they're both already fired before we know how the season ends in an unpredictable Western Conference where anything could happen and where the top seed is someone who everyone's got pegged as getting knocked out before the Western Conference Finals. And you're already convinced that they're gone and we're not even going to look at what happens, and then not giving the opportunity to see what happens is mind-boggling to me. I will give them full credit. If Denver ends up in the NBA Finals, forget about winning it all. If Denver ends up in the NBA Finals, this is a legendary move. Unless you're Pat Riley, firing your coach in the NBA before the playoffs does not work, period, end of sentence. In the NHL, it happens all the time. Frankly, it helps. In the NHL, firing your coach, there are many examples.
Right, it energizes the room.
But in the NBA, this is wild.
There's really no precedent for it. This is what bad franchises do. This is what poorly run franchises do. The Memphis Grizzlies made a decision like this a week before.
You got 2 Western Conference playoff teams
firing their coaches in the last 2 weeks of the year. It's weird. It's really, really weird. By the way, we did get another super that I missed, and it is from Richie Rich. Says, do an impression of Barbieri ranting about Purdy not being extended to a new contract. Well, first of all, Richie, we don't take requests around here, not even for a $5 super chat. But let me also say, clearly no one's taking any requests to have a logical approach to a young man who has done an incredible job so far. He's come and he saved everybody's bacon. Kyle's not even here anymore. John's not here anymore. You give the guy his money. It's Jed's money. You don't need to worry about it. The price of your beer is going to go up $1.75 no matter what they pay him. So just don't worry about it. Stop worrying about it. And oh, by the way, Amichis. It would probably sound like that.
Damon,
we're not taking requests, Sammy.
No, Damon, for the amount of time I've spent in the room, the amount of time in my career that I spent in the room with Ralph and you, but I'm just saying for me, that is so good. I mean, close your eyes. Anyone who knows who that is and what that is, close your eyes and ask yourself if that wasn't really Ralph reaching from beyond and giving us that. That one was particularly good.
Strong Barbieri. I got a very strong Barbieri.
That was good. Damon, I want to warn you and everyone, I have to roll in 8 minutes, which is terrible, but tell me where you want to go before that.
So of all of my friends, you are among the biggest hockey fans I know, and we had something very significant happen in the sport of hockey as Alex Ovechkin broke the NHL goals record. Obviously, like all records, it was held by Wayne Gretzky. To me, there is something that is absolutely spectacular about this. Not only did he do what a lot of people said would never be done, but it is amazing that Ovechkin scored the 895th goal of his career in his 1,487th game, where Gretzky scored his 894 in 1,487 games. Sports are amazing. Sports are freaking amazing. And for a sport that really doesn't have a lot of numbers applied to it, the fact that hockey gets to bust that one out, it's pretty cool.
I remember it. It was Gretzky against the Canucks. He scored against Kirk McLean, the Canucks goalie, to take the record. 894 at that time, and obviously yes, and for Ovechkin to do that in the same amount of games, to one up him in the same amount of games, give Ovechkin credit. And by the way, I just want to show everybody my shirt. This is Gretzky and Hextall in the line after the 87. Okay, so that is Gretzky. By the way, Hextall, they lost that series in 7 games. Hextall won the Conn Smythe as the best player in the playoffs that year. So Gretzky's really commending him for a tremendous season, but. Gretzky and Ovechkin, I just want to make this simple for everybody. Ovechkin's the greatest goal scorer. He just proved it. Let's give it to him, please. And what I hate that happens is now there's a comparison because Gretzky and Ovechkin are now in the same sentence forever. because Gretzky surpassed, and Gretzky was going to be the records that could never be broken. But let me remind everyone, the record that won't be broken is Gretzky has more assists than anyone else has points. And remember, in hockey, points is the collection of your goals and your assists combined. That means points. Yes. Gretzky has so many assists that no one else has combined goals and assists more than Gretzky. So that is what will never be broken.
The argument could be made that Wayne Gretzky was the greatest offensive hockey player had he never shot the puck once.
And he's got the greatest quote about shooting the puck, which is 100% of the shots you don't take don't go in the net.
Right.
Which is amazing. And as the greatest goal scorer before a week ago, that's a pretty awesome quote to have. But let me break this down very simply. There are two trophies in the NHL that I'm going to give sort of an equivalence to what it is in the NFL. So the Art Ross Trophy goes to the player who scores the most points in the league for that season. So it's sort of just like Joe Burrow basically would win that this season. Like the most yards passing is your quarterback.
Most touchdowns,
most that's it, right? Like that's what it would be. Just the guy who accumulates the most stats. Forget about what MVP is. Art Ross is just, you did it, period. There's no argument to it. You had the most points in the league. You did it. That's it. So Art Ross just is one of those that just goes to it no matter what. That's just what you get. Now, the other is the Hart Trophy is truly the MVP. So there's two different votes for that. So Ovechkin, they both have played at this point 20 seasons. Gretzky retired after 20 seasons. Ovechkin has played 20 seasons. Ovechkin in his 20 seasons was the MVP of the league 3 times. He led the league in scoring once. It's pretty great. By the way, I don't mind that. If I had 20 years out of somebody and you were MVP 3 times and you led the league in scoring once and you won a Stanley Cup for my franchise and you were Conn Smythe in that, you did enough. So please tip of the cap to Ovechkin. But if we are comparing Gretzky and Ovechkin, I just want to say one thing. 3 MVPs and 1 Art Ross leading the league in scoring for a season went to Ovechkin. Wayne Gretzky, in 20 seasons, is a 9-time MVP. 9 times. 9. He led the league in scoring in his 20 seasons 10 times. Also, the only player ever to score 200 points in a season. He was also the first to score 190, 180, 170, and 160.
Right.
And I want to remind everybody this also. The player to compare Wayne Gretzky to is pretty easy because it's the same jersey that Gretzky, a lot of you know him from. In 10 seasons, Connor McDavid in 10 seasons, this is the comparison you want because I just said it. 10 times led the league in scoring Gretzky and 9 times was the MVP. And here is what Connor McDavid has done in 10 seasons. He's already won Conn Smythe, even though he didn't win the Stanley Cup. So as a losing player, he already won a Conn Smythe trophy. And in 10 seasons, Connor McDavid is a 3-time league MVP. He's led the league in scoring 5 times in 10 seasons. And he has one that reached 150 points, which of course Ovechkin never did. So just remind yourself that comparison is going to be Connor McDavid and not Ovechkin. And it's okay. Ovechkin's still amazing, but we just have to say that and let it rest on that. Wayne Gretzky.
I still think the heir apparent to Gretzky is going to be Eric Lindros. I don't know about you.
It can still happen.
Sure.
Gretzky, you are Goatsky, truly. Goatsky, Wayne Gretzky. Remember
Wayne Gretzky has put his benchmark of greatness further in front of any other group of team athletes or anything like that.
That's just it.
The only thing that we don't have time to get to is I did want to, maybe we'll do this next Thursday.
Okay.
We'll be in play because Colin Morikawa just sat down and basically said, I'm going to ghost the media at the Masters. And Rory McIlroy said, hey, this isn't baseball. This isn't the NHL. This isn't the NFL. We're not on a team that has media guarantees. We are all individuals here. And if we talk to the media, that's on us. Nobody tells us to do it or not. So if we give you anything, you're welcome. And when we don't give you anything, quit bitching. Now, there's a part of me that says, all right, you overprivileged country club pussies. You don't want to face the music and you run away any chance you get. There's another part of me that is so out of love with media. Although, again, look, if you can't handle the, toxicity of golf writers, you ain't going to make it anywhere, because I'm imagining that's the least toxic group of sports writers you're going to find. It's the last remaining group of actual middle-aged adults. There isn't some like hot 24 barstool level blogger who is trying to fucking tear down, live tour, golf tour. There's nobody looking for dirt on these guys, coming after them hard or anything like that. But there's a part of me that absolutely respects the, if I don't have to talk to you, don't bitch about it when I don't. I really do. And I'd also say that so much of the media comes from just a sinister place these days, being suspect. I don't blame anybody. What I want is for Colin Morikawa to win the Masters and then just ghost everybody. Doesn't even show up to Butler cabin to pick up his fucking green jacket. Just, I won, I'm out.
That would be the ultimate. And I am okay in emotional moments. Athletes are going to get themselves in trouble more often. If you are really emotional, walking away is the better decision, because saying something ridiculous, and by the way, yes, players have made careers out of saying something ridiculous at the Masters, ask Fuzzy Zeller, but it is okay to walk away and not say what's on your mind if what you are going to say is going to get you in more trouble. And if you are hot and you are smart enough to understand how ridiculous you get when you are hot, walk away.
It's the old
walk away.
Better to leave your foot in your mouth and have everybody think you a fool than to remove it and prove that they were right, So
and that's it. And so there's nothing you can say. What you could have said is a lot better than what you did say. That's where you want to be. You'd rather be in that camp.
We have very short today in history.
Let's go.
Today would have been John Madden's birthday. John Madden, of course, passed away at his home in Pleasanton just after Christmas in 2021, but today would have been John Madden's birthday. Let's see. What else do we have?
Talk about GOAT, by the way. We're talking about Brady and broadcasting. I mean, Madden will forever, especially for you and me. That's GOAT status.
It's the Masters. It's not a PGA Tour event, but the PGA Tour, the Professional Golfers Association of America, was founded today in 1916. So happy birthday, PGA. Let's see. Paul McCartney announced the breakup of the Beatles today in 1970. That really hurt everybody. I normally, Sammy, don't include TV or movies unless it impacted me. And since it's my show, I guess I can break my own rules. Today in 1987, the movie Secret of My Success came out with Michael J. Fox. That was one of my favorite from my early childhood.
Yes.
Michael J. Fox and Secret of My Success. So bad.
I love that, and tip to Michael J. Fox and Family Ties, right? Yeah, I mean, of course, Back to the Future, but yes, Michael J. Fox for a Teen Wolf. But wait, how did I not Teen Wolf?
Teen Wolf, baby.
Teen Wolf.
Back to the Future. I might have heard of it. 2009 today, Parks and Recreation debuted on NBC. I can honestly tell you, I missed Parks and Recreation in real time. I didn't watch a single episode, but it got Jillian and I through a month of the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
We during COVID, we parked and wrecked it, and that show is fantastic. Very, very funny. Coming from Pawnee, Indiana, a fictitious Indiana town. So there were a lot of jokes that I got having spent time in Indiana that might have washed over you. Do you know, everybody, that the City Hall in Pasadena is the City Hall that is used for all the exterior shots in Parks and Rec?
I didn't know. That's beautiful.
Now you know.
That is beautiful.
Final thing to let you know, because today's the Masters, it's Golfers Day, National Day. What is it? It's also National Pet Day. And that's because today in 1866, the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, as you know it, the ASPCA, was founded. And when I think of all the groups out there whose mission is a noble one, that's why I'm an animal guy.
Yes, I am too. I am too.
So,
be nice to your animals. Yes.
Be nice to your animals.
Yes, please.
Be nice to your YouTube content creators.
Yes,
and thank you all so very, very much for watching today. Sammy, this was awesome. This was fun. This was effortless. Again, next week.
Is. Yes, done. Mark it on your calendar. It's happening.
In the meantime, thanks to everyone who super chatted, liked up, hit a subscribe, do it over at Thinking Out Loud on Sammy's channel. If you're over here on the Plus, vice versa. Thank you all so very, very much. And please do remember, as you go about a great Thursday, the sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, they're good. Do you like the sound effect there, Sammy?
I like that.